Hi everyone, welcome to NetGate Chemistry. So today also we are going to discuss some of the previous year questions of electrochemistry which are being asked in the CSIR NET exams. So the first question given to us is, in a potentiometric titration, the end point is characterized by. Now there are four options given to us in which we can see they have given change in the EMF with respect to the volume, right, and the double derivative of it. So basically we have to find out which of the options are correct for the endpoint characterization, right? So if we talk about the potentiometric titrations, then the basis of these potentiometric titration is the Nernst equation, right? The basis is the Nernst equation. So basically there are three types of titrations which can be done potentiometrically. First is acid base, second is redox, and third is precipitation. So for these three types of reactions we can find out the endpoint potentiometrically, right? So now we have to find out del E by del V and del square E by del V square at the endpoint. So if we plot a graph of E versus V, EMF versus volume after the potentiometric titration, then we are going to get a graph like this, right? And the slope of this graph is going to give us value of dE by dV. Okay, this will give us the value of dE by dV. The steeper this slope, easier for us to find out the end point, right? So in order to find out the end point perfectly, what we have to do, we have to see that this slope should be steep. Steeper the slope, easier for us to find out the equivalence point. And also this slope depends upon equilibrium constant value, right? And one more thing which you should remember is that EMF of the cell is always proportional to the concentration of the active species, right? This gives us the EMF values. So if we plot E versus V, we are going to get a graph like this. Slope will be dE by dV, right? So if we are plotting a graph and we are not getting much steep slope, then what we do, we take the derivative of EMF del E by del V, or you can say dE by dV versus volume, and when we plot a graph between these two, we get a graph like this. And this tip, this is going to give us the end point, right? This tip is giving us the end point. Okay, now at the end point, this value of dE by dV, it will be maximum, right? This we can see from the graph also. So at end point, dE by dV value is maximum. Okay, if by chance again we are plotting this kind of a graph and we are not getting proper dE by dV max value, then what we can do again is, we can again take the derivative del square E by del V square versus V, and then when we plot the graph, we get a graph like this, discontinuous graph. Okay, at this point we see the jump in potential. This point at which there is sudden jump in potential, we are going to get the equivalence point, right, or the end point. This is a kind of a discontinuous curve. So at equivalence point, the value is not defined, right? So what happens here is, at this point, the value of del square E by del V square reaches to infinity, right? The value of del square E by del V square, we can say that is not defined. The maximum value of this is not defined. So we can say that del square E by del V square is infinity or minus infinity. See, here it reaches infinity and here it will reach minus infinity. So we can say that del square E by del V square value is not defined, or we can say that del square E by del V square value is not equal to 0. Definitely it is not equal to 0, right? So one thing is for sure, del square E by del V square is not equal to 0. So options A and C will be cancelled out. If we look at del E by del V, so we get the, that we have discussed, we get the maximum value of del E by del V, right? And that is definitely not equal to 0. We get some value here, and that is the maximum value of del E by del V, which we get at the end point. So definitely here also del E by del V is not equal to 0. Instead, we get the value as maximum value of del E by del V. So here also del E by del V is not equal to 0. So both of these values are not equal to 0. So out of B and D, D is the correct option, right? There is one more thing which you can observe in all these three graphs, is that there is sudden jump in potential at the equivalence points, right? There is sudden change or jump in the potential value at the equivalence point in all of these three cases. So this is about the first question. Now with this we'll move on to the second question. Now the second question says that electrolysis of an aqueous solution of 1 molar NaOH results in. So they have given 4 of the options. So what we are going to get at cathode and anode, that we have to find out, right? So what they have given is that we have an aqueous solution of NaOH, that means NaOH in water. So after electrolysis, the ions which we are going to get is Na positive, OH negative due to NaOH, and H positive and OH negative due to water, because we are having sodium hydroxide in water. And then what we do is we perform the electrolysis process, right? And at anode and cathode, what we are getting, that we have to find out, right? So this is so far what we have been given. So this is a type of electrolytic cell, right? That you will be knowing if you have studied electrochemistry or you have seen the electrochemistry videos, right? So in electrolytic cell, what happens, we have some electrical energy which is converted to chemical energy. Okay, so we have to find out the reactions at cathode and anode basically. So first, if we talk about reaction at anode, remember at anode always oxidation takes place. Okay, so at anode what is going to happen is that we have OH negative ions, right? Due to NaOH also and due to water also, we have OH negative ions. So these OH negative ions will produce water plus oxygen plus electrons. If we balance the equation, it will be 4OH giving 2H2O. O2 gas will be released along with 4 electrons. So this is the reaction at anode. It was easy because here at both of these cases we are having OH negative ions. So definitely at anode oxidation is going to take place, and that too of the OH negative ions, right? So at anode this reaction will take place. So now if we talk about the cathode, then here definitely reduction is going to take place. What happens, we have Na positive and H positive. Now we have to see which one is undergoing reduction. So if we talk about H positive, then the reduction potential of H positive, the standard reduction potential value of H positive is equals to 0. And if we talk about Na positive, then the standard reduction potential of Na positive is always a negative value. So if we compare the reduction potential values of these two, then definitely H positive is having higher reduction potential value. So because H positive is having higher reduction potential value, so H positive will be reduced and not Na positive. I hope this point is clear. This was the main crux which you have to understand, that which one is undergoing reduction. The one having more value of reduction potential, standard reduction potential. So here H positive will be reduced. So H positive will take up the electrons and will change into H2 gas, right? So at anode we will get oxygen gas liberated out, and at cathode hydrogen gas will be liberated out. Okay, so if we look at the options, so hydrogen gas will be liberated at cathode and oxygen will be liberated at anode. So definitely correct option is option B. Okay, so I think 2 questions are enough for this video. So far that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.